Shout out Sniper T on the beat.
Tamara to the break of dawn is on the rise, with life on the forefront of the mind. So line for line, you can ride this brain train and you can change your station without even touching the dial. So relax, stay a little bit, but listen for a while. And whether you're bumping this in the whip or in a business fit, it's a meeting you won't want to miss. A meeting for a meal to feed the soul with words for the mind. So sit back, enjoy the ride. Time to take off, it's time to fly. Cause Tamara till the break of dawn is on the rise.
Hey, y'all. It's me, Tamara, and welcome back to the show. Yes, thank you. Y'all are too kind. So, man, it has been like, let me look real quick and see when is the last solo episode I've done because let's see, that would have November 4th. So it's basically been a month, but because we're doing the U recap, I'm doing 2 episodes a week. So it just feels like forever since I have done a solo episode. And I actually have a couple more guest episodes planned out for this week. So I think this week and next week will be a solo episode, and then the rest of the year will be guest episodes. Plus at the top of the year too. So yeah, super excited. Gosh, a lot has happened since the last time I talked to y'all. Pretty sure I told y'all in that last solo episode my youngest turned 18. Her birthday was Halloween, so it would have been just before that okay, let me forgot how to do my show. For my new listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate y'all. New episodes drop every Thursday, so come back through if you like what you hear. For all my continued supporters, definitely appreciate y'all staying on this journey with me. If you're not, you should totally be following me on social media, which the links to my Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok are in the episode notes. The next podcast happy hour is December 17th on Autumn's platform. I'm pretty sure it's at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, 6 Pacific. That's usually what we do, but if I find out that's wrong, then I'll tell y'all the right information later. Plus, we advertise on social media. Let's see what else. Melanin-toxicate. Let's get into that. Forget whatever I was talking about earlier. Okay, so my brand finally dropped December 1st. It feels so good to be able to say the name publicly because I was very careful about not saying it publicly. There were barely anybody knew what it was. And I'm talking about there's people that are close to me outside of content creating that didn't even know what it was called simply because I just needed to control who I told, make sure they were trustworthy, of course. But that way, if somehow, some way, because when I hadn't started the trademarking process yet, I kept going to the trademark site, making sure it didn't pop up as under somebody else or whatever. But then, if for some strange reason somebody that I told, then I could track who told, you know what I'm saying, excuse me, outside of my kids, because they were the first people to know. And so it feels so good to that it's actually launched because it was getting to this point once I had the whole lawyer debacle where I was like, okay, is it ever going to be launched? And I have these logos that I've purchased and just all this stuff. Shout out to my graphic designer because I love the way he brought my vision to life better than what I actually could have done. If y'all could only see what I was trying to come up with back, because this idea started a year ago as just I was going to create some merchandise, because if you don't know, I've created different designs and stuff just as a podcaster trying to, bring in a little income, or not income, but money or whatever. And so yeah, sold, merchandise. Shout out to everybody who supported that, you know what I mean? And so then I was just gonna create another design. It was at a point when I'm like, what can I do to kind of celebrate Black people? Let's be honest. but do it in a way where hopefully, and I have a lot of really close white friends that when I've shown them, they all say it's dope, and not just because it's me, but because of what it stands for and what it means. But yeah, a way to celebrate Black people, but not make anyone else feel like try to do it in a way where you can't even remotely try to make it about you when it's not about you. It's not about bashing anybody. It's about celebrating something that actually happened. You know what I'm saying? Like our culture, different things, music, hair, style, whatever. No one can say that it's not appreciated by other cultures because other cultures adopt it, will listen to music, will emulate styles, whatever. And so, what is that? And like rebranding that from away from kind of just focusing it on appropriation, because it's not always cultural appropriation, although it is at times. But what is it when it's not cultural appropriation, excuse me, and somebody's just really trying to celebrate how drawn they are to something or someone because of what they're doing, who they are, the energy they're putting out, whatever. So that's really where Melanin-toxicate came from. Melanin, that's melanin. Intoxicate is intoxicate, which is to be intoxicated. Like usually it's associated with being high or drunk or whatever, but it's when you're in an altered state of mind. So Melanintoxicate is that meshed together. If you can't tell by Tamara Till the Break of Dawn, I'm very big on play on words because my first and middle name is Tamara Dawn. And so Tamara Till the Break of Dawn, we know Till the Break of Dawn is songs and all this stuff. And so big on a play on words, Melanintoxicate, and then the definition is to cause feelings of euphoria by way of black girl magic or black boy joy. And then the tagline is so dope they get high. And so it's so wild that it's finally launched. I love the people that seem excited about it. Shout out to the people that have already purchased, y'all know I can't talk, purchase merchandise, because that's just super encouraging to see that. Of course I think it's dope. That's why I put it out there, but just to see that other people think it's dope, and not just because it's me, you know what I mean, like because it's in its own way it's dope. Yes, I appreciate the people that support whatever I've done, the people that have bought merchandise simply because I put it out there. But if you notice the way that I've done my merchandise, I didn't always push like my podcast logo and anything as much associated with just my show, simply because I don't want to make it about me. Like my show is about me, but at the same time, I don't want to make what I put out there for other people to try to purchase about me, because it's really not about me. Very, very blessed to have this platform. Very, very blessed to be in a place even where I have launched this brand finally, but then also that I'm um, my own boss, running my own company, and have reached a place where I'm pretty sure I'm not going to have to look for another job. If you're new, I started a company, Tamer the Non Inc. It's a consulting agency. We launched in July, and my plan was to continue working my full time job. I worked in the social work field for over a decade. So my plan was to continue to do that until I got to a point where financially it was realistic for me to step out and do my own thing. And by doing that, though, that made it where rolling out the different phases, because I still have not rolled out all the phases of my company yet, but rolling out the different phases and stuff that I want to do, it made it, a slower process. But I was just like, keep grinding, keep whatever. And then I got to this point where, for whatever reason, somebody, and I still don't know who it is, but whoever you are, if you happen to listen, because you never know who's watching you, you know what I'm saying? If you happen to be listening and you are the person that went to my boss's boss and said that you felt like it was a conflict of interest what I was doing because of the work that I did. The company, not even the work that I specifically did, but that the company did. I was salty about that for a little bit because it forced me to make a choice between keeping my former job, which obviously I didn't make that choice, and continuing to run my company because they basically said I would have to cease services. It's just such a stupid story that doesn't make sense. And I was salty about it because like I've done nothing wrong. I'm not the kind of person that would have we worked with people that the welfare population. So why would I, somebody who's worked in social work for over a decade, which if you know nothing about the social work field, let me tell you this. Though I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, it is not a field that is financially lucrative. So there are people that maybe don't have as much education as me, but work in a different industry. Not saying my education makes me better than anybody. You got to always preface these things. But what I'm saying is, I worked really hard to get where I got in my career and still was struggling. You know what I mean? Especially being a single parent. So it could have been worse, of course, because I was at a place where I made too much to receive any sort of like government assistance, but still wasn't where I really wanted to be. So, why would I, being somebody that I'm doing passion work, I'm doing work that is bringing me a sense of fulfillment because of the people that I'm helping and whatever, why would I try to basically go to those people and be like, oh no, come get this free service that you can get over here? So, resume writing is a service that just started offering like within the last month. But why would I say no? Don't get it for free over there. Come get it from me. Like that doesn't even line up with who I am as a person. So I felt some kind of way about that. And then it got to I hadn't even launched that service yet because this started back in July. So in July was when I had the first conversation with HR about all of this. Now, I disclosed what I was doing to HR, but I did it because my boss's boss said somebody brought something to them and they thought this was actually going to be a way for me to like nip it in the bud, say, hey, this is what I'm doing, blah, 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 and it go away, is what they thought. It's not how it happened. And, I felt some kind of way about it, but where they really had me messed up, and then we're going to move on from this, is that I hadn't even launched resume writing yet, but they tried to say the service that I had launched, standard operating procedure writing, that was a conflict of interest, even though that wasn't a service that we offered to anyone. It was only a service that was done in house for our own stuff. Mind you, my resume, as I told them, shows them that I had these skills before I came here, nor do I use these skills in any role that I had there, any of them, even the resume writing, but they made me make a choice. And so, I decided to leave. And I'm fortunate enough that if you've been following, I've been like in this state of transition where we left our apartment and then trying to find another place has been just weird. Like it's never been that difficult for me to try to find like another house or apartment or whatever. But I could see where God blocking those doors was for my best interest because then when I had to make that decision about leaving, because I'm at my mom's house, and I did talk to her about it first because I'm at my mom's house, but because I'm at my mom's house, I don't have to consider like rent and stuff like utilities and stuff like that. Now I still do have bills because I have a car payment, phone bill and just other little things that I pay for and car insurance, stuff like that. And then it doesn't matter. I still have bills, but I don't have like rent, utilities. Still got to buy food, all that. But God has provided, and I could see where God not opening doors to houses and apartments was like, although frustrating, in my best interest because then it allowed me to make a choice that would be best for my family. That I, for a little bit, I had started applying for different jobs because I'm just like, well, maybe I do need to find another job. And I kept praying about it, which, if you know me, you know I'm a person of faith. If you don't, well, there you go. But I kept praying about it, and I kept feeling like the Lord was telling me, you're not going to need that. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Of course, that's what I want to hear. You know what I mean? But I need you to confirm that, because it feels irresponsible if I'm supposed to be working else. I'm not above that. I worked full time and did whatever. I've worked full time and gone to full school full time when I was getting my degree. Like, I'm not above super duper grinding to get to where I need to get, but doors have opened where I've gotten like large clients where, instead of like, oh, I just need you to do this one document for me, I'm working with a client right now where it's like I'm doing all of their documents from scratch. So that's generating, a consistent source of income. And then when that project is done, I kind of connected with someone else who kind of wants me to do, maybe, I don't know, it may be exactly the same, but they too don't have any documents and need them. And so I'm also trying to figure out, not trying to, I'm also putting together how to market, like put together packages like, okay, this employee handbook plus this job description book plus a release of information and maybe a non-disclosure agreement. That's a package that, now that I've done it from scratch for one person, in some senses there's going to be some information that's going to change with something like an employee handbook or even some of the other documents that I'm going to have to do, but a lot of it is going to be pretty much the same information that'll just maybe need to be adjusted a little bit between clients. And so then I'm going to market that, because if it's a package deal and I don't have to do it from scratch every time, then I can give it as kind of like a more, like a discounted price, because standard operating procedure writing is like expensive, and I don't even charge what I see on some of the like Fiverr and stuff like that, just because I don't know, I want to be affordable to the people who need the services, also still make money. So I'm not like shortchanging myself. But if I put a package together, that could be another way to bring in money. So I'm really thinking of multiple ways to market what I've already launched, but then also I'm still launching the coaching services, and then also the business essentials workshop that I completed writing all of that. So I've been like super busy, and it's crazy because it was as soon as I finished the business essentials workshop that this my current client reached out to me. And I'm glad that it was that kind of timing, because I wouldn't have had time to do both. Then let's factor in launching Melanin-toxicate, which I did the trademarking stuff myself, because that's a component I talk about in the business essentials workshop. So when I started doing research so that I was familiar enough with the information to teach it in a workshop, I was like, I could do this myself, but I just need the money to do it, because it costs, you know what I'm saying, 250 to 350 per class, you know what I mean? And you have to trademark it in different classes. I feel like it's the biggest scam ever, but it is what it is. And so then what ended up happening is, I told y'all a while back I won a trademarking grant, and we tried to connect with a lawyer. That didn't work out. And so they ended up just giving me the money. And so then I did it myself. So I spent all day doing that. I spent the next day getting all the designs together and whatever, then spent like the next, basically it took about a week to go from not being at all ready other than having logos to launch December 1st. So maybe like a week and a half that I spent trademarking, designing, creating websites and social media pages, and then thinking about like, how do I want to communicate what the brand means beyond just the definition that I gave earlier. How do I want to communicate our values and all that stuff? So that's all stuff I had to think about, because if I don't define my brand up front, then the public will try to define it however they want. So I'm trying to be super proactive with that. And then create some templates and stuff for social media posting and just all these things, which it's crazy because between podcasting, Tamara the Dawn Inc., and Melanin-toxicate, I have 3 Instagram pages, 4 Facebook pages, because I also have my personal Facebook. And now I finally have 2 Twitters. I kept my main Twitter for everything else, but then when launching Melanintoxicate, it just seemed kind of important to have a separate Twitter specifically for that. So I'm running all these social media pages and I'm trying to find that balance. And so I really didn't want to have to get another job. So thank God, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to have to. And then starting sometime in January, I'm going to start alternating in person and online for the Business Essentials workshop. Not to mention, the whole reason I created that curriculum is because someone asked me to come teach it at the school the hair school that my friend Lindsay, who was on here. So she was like, hey, you're doing all this. Would you be able to put together something to teach? And then I just thought, well, if I'm going to put together something to teach, then I'm going to also make it to where I can market it and like hold my own workshops and charge like $40 a person, and doing that monthly. So I'm just trying to think of like different ways to kind of just have income coming in different ways, which really feeds the ADD side of me, that like my former jobs have always been, there's multiple different things. There's the interacting with people and training with them, but then there's like the admin time where I'm doing reports or paperwork or whatever, and that's that time to just kind of zone out and like complete a project, which gives me like a sense of completion and accomplishment. Because when you work in social work, the work is kind of really never done working with people. But if I have a report that I turned in, or a monthly project or whatever, depending on the job that I was at, then it's kind of like, okay, well, I accomplished this. So it would feed that sense of accomplishment. But not every day was the same. Not every task was done the same way every time, as far as depending on what was going on. So yeah, I'm very, very, very like blessed and very, very appreciative and just super grateful for the season that I'm in, because it's kind of like, as I look back at how like little things I did when I was in the social work field. So one of the big things, and I even talk about it from the Tamara the Dawn Inc. page, is like templates. Like when I post my social media, especially when it comes to podcasting, I have templates for every type of episode. So like there's the Big Rich Town, that's going to have its own episode template. There's the You recap episodes. There's movie tiers. And then there's just regular podcast episodes that don't like fall under a specific category. So it's like I have different templates for those, a template for Thursday, a template for Saturday. I have a Tuesday template, but I haven't been using it because I'm doing 2 episodes a week. So I've only been doing like 2 social media postings per episode, just because it's just a lot. And so it's like, okay, we can scale back a little bit. But I have all these, and then blogging too. I will post about my blog 4 days a week. So that's just for the creative, content creator stuff, even though really it all falls under that. But then when we get into the company, so Tamara the Dawn Inc., social media postings go out every day, sometimes 2 and 3 times a day, depending on what that is. So I have different templates for Monday or Tuesday, or and then with Melanintoxicate, I'm really kind of figuring what that looks like, because for that, if you go to my IG page, you'll see there's like, it's the aesthetics. So I want the page to look a certain way and look more organized when you come to it. I don't care about that for my personal IG, because it's like the melting pot of everything Tamra Dawn. And then Tamra the Dawn Inc., it is organized as far as themes and topics. And it does have, everything has the company brand colors, but when you go to it, it doesn't look like it. I don't know, but when you go to Melanintoxicate, it's like I want it to look a certain way, so I focus mainly on that. But I don't necessarily have a particular posting schedule. I think I'll try to at least post like 5 days a week, just to keep it before people, because once again, I'm having to grow another brand, which has been a little bit not discouraging, because I'm so grateful that like it finally launched, because again, I got this idea a year ago, and Tamara the Dawn Inc. only really exists because I wanted a way to protect, or yeah, it started with just a way to protect Melanin-toxicate. Like, how can I really launch this and make it its own thing? So it's registered to Tamara the Dawn Inc. actually, and then somewhere in the future we're going to turn that into a company. So it'll be like its own entity. But right now it's a brand underneath Tamara the Dawn Inc. Even though on my social media it says me, which technically I own Tamra the Dawn Inc. So then it is, but technically it's not registered to Tamra. It's registered to Tamra the Dawn Inc. But either way, having to grow two new brands this year, because like I said, I launched Tamra the Dawn Inc. in end of July, and then Melanin-toxicate just dropped December 1st. So thank God podcasting came almost 2 years ago, to where I've learned a lot about growing a brand that I didn't always apply to the podcast. I mean, thank God, Tamara to the Breaking Dawn. I don't know what I just said. So thank God my podcast launched over 2 years ago, because there's a lot that I learned, but I didn't really apply it to my podcast, because that will always be a therapeutic creative outlet. I don't, especially now that I have two other brands that I'm having to be more intentional about growing, I don't really ever want my podcast and even my blog to be, now don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean I don't want a bunch of listeners and a bunch of readers. That's not what I'm saying. But as far as the way that I promote it, I don't want it to ever feel like Tamara the Dawn Inc. or Melanin-toxicate, where like I have to do it, because that's get to, sure, super grateful to have these opportunities, but at the same time, there is stuff I have to do to make sure. And I don't want podcasting to feel like that. I want it to feel just like right now. I ain't talked to y'all in a minute. Y'all can maybe see a little bit of what's going on, because if you follow me on social media, but if you don't, this brand that I've been alluding to for a while is finally here. You know what I'm saying? And the link is in the episode notes if you want to check it out. But you don't know what's going on with me, and at the end of the day, there are like different series that I'm adding, like the Jack of All Trades is going to be a monthly thing. There's some other ideas I have that I'm going to add, but at the end of the day, the core of this show is my life and how I'm going to grow, or how I'm trying to grow. So we're never going to fully get away from me doing solo episodes where I just talk to y'all, because I need this. You know what I'm saying? I need to talk this stuff out. So it's been really, really good. It's been really, really crazy, because like that week that I took out prepping and launching Melanintoxicate, like that was in addition to what I already had to maintain. So and then I had this client that I'm working with, so it was just a lot. But I've had to remind myself, like, okay, but now it's launched, and there's not going to be anything else. Like, I'm not going to add any new brands. I'm not adding any new companies. Like the three things, well, four if you include blogging, that I'm doing are going to be what I maintain and just grow and be consistent with. So I'm grateful for that because, like, it's almost like I'm starting all over again with Melanintoxicate. And I kind of got discouraged, like, man, I gotta grow my social media following all over again. So if you're following me on Tamara the Dawn Inc., or if you're following me on Twitter, or if you're my personal Facebook friend, please like the Melanin-toxicate Facebook page, or Twitter, or Instagram, which if you go, there's so many different ways you can find it. If you just click on my IG or Twitter bio, there is a link tree in the episode notes, and maybe I should just put that. Maybe I just should start doing the link tree, because then that way it's the one stop shop for all things me. So I guess I'll put that in the episode notes going. So this episode, scratch what I said earlier. I'll just put, anyways, yeah, look for the link tree in the episode notes, and then like follow, because I'm trying to grow that too. If I know you, I follow back. If I don't, it kind of depends what you have on your page, because man, these bots on Instagram is so annoying, because it's like, what, leave me alone. I don't care. I'm not paying to promote whatever on these fake pages that y'all come up with. And it's like, y'all really don't have nothing else to do with your life than to try to hack people's pages and scam people and just all this stupid stuff. And so it's annoying, because I'll get notifications when I post stuff on Instagram, and I'm not saying real people don't interact with my content, but those immediate people be these bots, and it's just so annoying. But other than that, I follow back. So with that, I'm having to find a new balance with my snatched 40s journey. It's so funny because the last couple weeks I've only worked out once a week, and listen, I'm lucky I got that in. It has been a struggle just trying to like reprioritize my time, because the first thing that I do when I wake up every day is I journal, read my Bible, which ultimately journaling is kind of like me pouring out my heart, praying, like kind of getting my thoughts together. Because I've noticed if I do that at the beginning of the day, because there's so much on my mind and so much I'm frustrated with or whatever, because while all these good things are happening, like I said, I'm still at my mom's house. You know what I mean? And no shade to my mom. Man, shout out to her for letting me be here rent free, you know what I mean? But I'm ready to have my own space again, you know what I mean? So it's been interesting being in transition. There's a lot of other things. And so just kind of getting that stuff out, and then reading my Bible, that's something that I do. And then starting my day. So depending on just what's going on, because if my daughter has to go to work, I have to take her. And so it's just been kind of weird trying to figure out a new balance now that I've added something new, you know what I'm saying? Even figuring out what it looks like to post to Melanintoxicate's social media, how often, stuff like that. And so it's kind of like, here I am trying to figure this all out again. But I do pretty decently with eating. So, it is what it is, because that's always been the focus, just because if I eat trash all the time, trash food, and then try to work out, like, you can't really outwork a poor diet. You know what I mean? Even if it's just energy levels, whatever. And as I'm getting older, metabolism is going to slow down, stuff like that. So, like, it has been really, really crazy. All of my kids, all of my kids are adults. It's weird. Like, Thanksgiving, we all went to my brother's house. They hosted. I was so grateful that I didn't have to cook anything at all this year. A lot of times, even if my mom hosts, we'll still have to all bring something. And I did bring something, but what I brought didn't have to be cooked, or I just sent that to them and they did what they needed to do with it. Like I didn't have to like cook anything, and I was so grateful because I really didn't have time this year anyways, you know what I mean? But my oldest daughter has a car now, and so that's new, which is good because Thanksgiving, we all went there, and then her and my son and daughter left together, and then I was able to just be there as long as I wanted without having to hear, "Are we leaving yet?" or whatever, which I can't stand when my kids do that anyway. And so it's a whole new season. It's weird because I've been a mom since I was 19 and I'm only 41, which it I mean, 41 is 41, but it feels like only 41 because it's like I don't know what 41 is supposed to feel like, but I don't feel old, but my kids are 18, 19 and 22 now. My son had a birthday in November. He's 22. So, I mean, my kids are grown, but it's weird because I'm only 41. You know what I'm saying? Some of my friends, they're just starting to have kids, or their kids are, a lot younger than mine. So it's just kind of weird that all of my adulthood has been raising kids, focused on kids. And now, while they still need me, of course, because I'm their mom, they don't it's just different. So it's kind of weird, but I'm actually kind of grateful because I'm super busy right now, and they work or they spend a lot of time with their friends, which is great because then I don't have to feel guilty about how much time I'm dedicated to sitting in front of this computer screen that I'm recording at and grinding, you know what I'm saying? So I don't have to feel guilty about super late nights. I don't have like a man or any of that to consider, which I'm kind of glad right now when I really think about it, and which makes me think back to the online dating phase that I was in. Even though it's funny because recently, like a week or so ago, I almost had one of those moments where I get in this mode where I'm like, oh, and that's when I would restart profiles. And I almost went there, but then it's so crazy because one of my friends, we will share crazy screenshots of either people who like us or messages we get or whatever. And so she sent me a screenshot of some wild stuff somebody sent her. And then it just reminded me why I shut that down in the first place. So I don't know what it's going to look like for me to meet somebody, but who knows, because I don't know. I don't know, but it ain't finna be no online dating because I did try that. I feel good that I gave it an effort. You know what I'm saying? But that's just not for me. Like I need to already have the vibes or whatever just to kind of get a feel for what's going on, because texting, messaging, even calling and FaceTiming somebody is not the same as if you've met them in person first and like already had the like quote unquote first meeting out of the way. You know what I mean? So it's an interesting time. It's also my favorite time of year. I'm already seeing people putting Christmas lights out, like the outside, the people that, got them high electricity bills. And also, man, I just found out, unless you're putting the lights up yourself, here's a business idea for somebody who might want this. A friend of mine was telling me that she was going to hire somebody to do Christmas lights around their house, and the quote that they got was like $1,300 or something like that to have them come install and take down at the end of the season lights that they're renting. So they don't even get to keep the lights. And then that means next year you got to pay that whole $1,300 all over again. I had no idea it cost that much money. And so I have a new level of richness thoughts about the people that, like, y'all really got money out here. Unless you did it yourself, then I still feel like I know y'all light bill is high. Like, that's always been a thought. But if you actually paid somebody, because somebody I know actually has a business where they do this, and man, that's money that I didn't even know people were willing to pay that much. But I guess if you want something and you know you're not going to do it yourself, like, that's why sometimes I'll pay for groceries to be delivered when I'm super busy and I know we need food and I don't have time to go to the grocery store. I will pay just for the convenience. So, business idea, if you didn't know that was a thing, hop on it, do your research, because Christmas season will come up and places get booked. And so then, you could be that one that they might not have went to you, but so and so couldn't get them in, and you could be trying to build it up, have great customer service, and keep a customer, because great customer service is what keeps people coming back. You got to be about retaining customers. Like, I've had the same braider, even though I've been dealing with my own natural hair lately. Although I was just kind of thinking earlier today, like, if you're watching, you see I got this little leopard print scarf situation going on, and my hair is in twists underneath because I didn't feel like taking them out. And I'm kind of getting to that point again where I'm just kind of like, so I got to figure out what that looks like. Do I buy a bunch of cute scarves, which I may do that, or do I get my hair done, which there's that option too. But I bring that up because I've been going to the same braider for like almost 6 or 7 years, you know what I mean? And she's skilled, but it's really just who she is as a person, her professionalism, the fact that I can entrust her with my daughters when they were younger, where I felt like it was okay of an environment to, like, okay, I could drop her off while she gets her hair done and come back, because salons and stuff can be messy and have all this foolishness going on, and she's not like that. My nail person too, I've been going to her for, like, I think maybe coming up on 2 years or something like that. And I just stick with the same person. So either I'm not getting my hair done or I'm coming to you, but I'm not going to nobody else, because she and my nail tech have done what is needed to retain a customer. So that's what you want to do, and that's where that good customer service comes into play. So think about that if you do this Christmas lights business, because I'm sure that for bigger houses, like, I'm sure that quote depends on the house size, just like as I give people quotes for standard operating procedure writing, it all depends on what they want. So a like $500 document, so like an employee handbook, for example, the one that I more recently did, very, very detailed, like 40, I think 43-page document or something like that, has a lot of different information, a lot of details, and just little things that are factored into it. But then somebody who just needs a like to-do list with some bullet points, that might be like $10. That's why my website says it starts at $10, but it all depends on what you want, you know what I mean? So I'm sure with the lights, these bigger houses probably, and like, usually it's the bigger like rich neighborhoods where I see this more so. And then you'd be having like the stuff in the yards and all that. And I'm like, I wonder if these people set this up too. Like, so that's something you can, if you're a contractor or something, where maybe in the winter, if you do like construction or something, you're not getting as much work because it's colder, depending on like where you live. That could be something you look into. Or if you're just somebody who wants to add something and just do a bunch of different things, that's something that you can consider. Or if you have a lawn business or something, where in the winter months it kind of slows down unless you add snow plowing, just because people aren't, depending on where you live in the country, they're not really mowing their lawn. And I don't know why I feel like I need to give anybody any type of ideas, but I guess because I'm in that mindset myself, like, Everything I put out, if you follow Tamara the Dawn Inc., the videos that I put out twice a week, it's always usually, especially the Wednesday ones, which is like Wednesday wisdom. But even the free game ones are like what I'm learning, because my whole thing is about teaching people how to have a solid foundation. So you have a lot of different coaches out here. Some are business coaches that are like just trying to get you to grow and delegate everything, but you're not as much involved in it. So you started it, but you're just delegating to other people. And there are people that that's how they want to grow their business. But then there's the people that, like me, who I'm doing everything and that's how I want to do it. And then I'll grow and hire people and all that. But I'm not at a point for what I do that I could really outsource. Maybe the social media account management, but I'm not paying anybody to do that. And it's a creative outlet for me. So, like, I enjoy doing all of that. But of course, as we grow and get bigger, I'm not going to be able to. So then I'll delegate it to somebody and hire them. But my whole point is, there are so many different types of consultants and business coaches and all this stuff. And I follow a lot of them on social media because I love that they'll, in their content, give free game. And so that's kind of what I do as well. Not kind of, that is what I do as well. But I'm more so for about how to have a solid foundation for you to build upon, because as you can see with my journey, you've seen me continue to just add on to a solid foundation. And the thing about it is, as I've added on, you haven't seen anything fall away. So I still have an episode every week. I still have a blog every week. Now, with the blog, I had to switch my writing day to Sunday. So I used to write on Mondays because I wanted to be like, this is what I'm feeling right now in the moment. Eh, can't do that no more, because depending on the day, then that's when sometimes you didn't get a blog till Tuesday. But either way, get a blog every week. You get the content from the business every week, except for when I was sick. That was out of my control. Melanin-toxicate, you're going to see posts. So you see me, because my foundation is solid. So you have to have a solid foundation before you can add on to your plate. That's why also, at the same time, I've just randomly been getting a lot of DMs from people, and it's not even people wanting me to like be on their show or anything like that, but just wanting me to be a part of some business they're building or something they're doing. And it's like, I just told somebody the other day, I don't have the capacity to add anything else to my plate. You know what I'm saying? And being okay with that, because me being somebody who likes to help and likes to whatever, right now I have to be very intentional about who I just like give my time to for free, which sounds kind of whatever. But when you're working for yourself and you're a consultant, where I don't have a set, oh, every 2 weeks I get paid whatever, like I really got to hustle up clients or do whatever to make sure I have income. I can't be a part of everybody else's stuff all like that. Like I will for my people or people that I've kind of like been in relationship with. So, stuff like that. But like somebody who literally, they'll hit you up, oh, how you doing? And then it's like the spiel. And it's just like podcasters who follow you, or it's not just podcasters, YouTubers, whatever, who just follow you, and then immediately it's, can you do this for me? I don't know you. Why do I care about what you're doing? Which sounds maybe messed up, but I know I'm not the only one who thinks that. I'm just the one that's real enough to say it. Do I say it that rudely to people? Absolutely not, because, people might take that a kind of way, and I don't want to be unkind, but it's kind of like, let's think about that from a business perspective, because with networking is a business thing. We're not friends. I don't know you. You're literally a stranger on the internet. You hopped in my DMs and then you said, "I do this, help me." In my bio on every social media platform, it tells you everything that I do. You know what I mean? So if you were trying to make it mutually beneficial, what you would do is say, "Hey, how can we collaborate, or how can we whatever, or if you do this for me, how can, even if it's just like, follow my, YouTube page and I'll follow you back. That stuff I'll usually just do. But the ones that people just ask you to do a whole bunch of stuff and never in there did they offer me anything, I usually just respond to the part about thanks for following because you followed me, so I followed you back because you're a content creator. And then I just ignore the rest of that stuff because it's kind of like I'm not about to go above and beyond for somebody I don't know. Now, in the retweet groups I'm in, pretty much any tweet they send in there, I don't care if they say it's an optional tweet. I don't care if it's a poll. I don't care if it's they just want to tweet their dog. I'll pretty much tweet almost anything in there because we have a mutually beneficial relationship. So sometimes I may say, hey, guys, I just started this brand that's dropping December 1st, which I did this. I'm trying to grow my Twitter page. Can you follow it? I'll follow you back. People followed. When the brand first launched, I said, hey, this is an optional retweet. My brand launched today. I'm trying to grow, bring awareness or whatever. Can you retweet this? But we already have a existing relationship where we've agreed that this is what we're going to do in this group. Plus, share resources, share knowledge, whatever. I don't mind giving those people whatever they need to support them because it's mutually beneficial. But these strangers who just come, and I talk about this a lot, and I'm going to keep talking about it because if you're a new up and coming content creator or business owner or whatever it is, and you happen to listen to this, when this comes up, I'm going to keep talking about it because it's really just a selfish way to network, and I'm not with it, and I don't have to be. You know what I mean? Like I don't have to do what I don't want to do because I feel like there's a right way to network, a right way to support people and all that stuff. And if I feel like the way you're doing it is kind of selfish, that's your prerogative to do that. You know what I'm saying? I would never tell people this is how you should do this, but I don't have to participate. I don't have to do anything. I didn't even have to follow you, but I did because I also have an app that lets me know when people unfollow me because I can't stand that either. You know what I mean? And usually when you get those people that they have their follower to following ratio is way out of line. Like they have 27,000 followers and they're only following 1,000. In my mind, I kind of know you're going to unfollow me, but I go ahead and just follow you anyway. Try to give you the benefit of the doubt that maybe you saw something on my page that made you think, oh, I want to follow her because I like her content. That's not always the case, but usually those people they unfollow later on and then I unfollow right back whatever day I catch on to it. Excuse me, when I do my social media sweep on the apps that I have. You know what I mean? So it's an interesting thing being in the industry. There are things that I will never like and I will never pretend to like it and I will speak out on it when it comes up. If you've been listening to me this whole time, you know that I've talked about the politics of podcasting a lot. It's the same in business. Sometimes it's trash. Sometimes you meet the most amazing people. So obviously I'm still here. That didn't stop me from podcasting, but if it's some fuck shit, for lack of a better word, I'm going to speak out on it because let's be healthy. Let's be mutually beneficial. Let's be supportive, genuinely, not fake. You know what I mean? Like, let's do it that way. That's such a better way to build your brand on because the thing about it is, people talk. So we be in these podcast retweet groups talking about this person, that, hey, watch out for this person because they followed me and then unfollowed, or yeah, and then unfollowed me. We'll have people send messages like that. Or this person did this. And it's not in a gossiping kind of way. It's more like a looking out for the person kind of way. You know what I mean? So like when you and your brand seem to be selfish or seem to be whatever, like people talk about it. And then that's where you don't have that retention in listeners. There are people that I maybe listened to before and then I kind of saw how they conducted themselves in certain scenarios, and then I would just stop listening to their show. And it's just, if I don't support like you as a person, I'm not gonna, consume your content, because it takes a lot for me to stop listening to somebody. You actually had to do some, and it doesn't even matter what you did, because I don't want y'all trying to figure out who it is, which you really can't, because here's the thing. I'll be way behind on my podcast rotation. Like, I'm at this point where there are days when I have time to zone out when I'm working on client SOPs. But when I'm doing stuff for my own company, creating content, it just depending on what it is, I can't just listen to podcasts. So this is where y'all don't see the rotation tweets as much anymore. It doesn't mean I stop listening to y'all. As y'all could tell, I come back to you. It's just being busy looks different. Before, my job used to be just sitting and kind of working reports all day, and that's when I would listen to like 10 sometime podcasts a day. But now it's just, man, I have meetings, I have just different things, and so it just looks different. But anyways, let's go ahead and get up out of here, because I didn't even expect this episode to be this long, but I should have known, because I haven't talked to y'all in a while. I wanted to kind of catch y'all up on what's been happening in the last month, because I haven't done a solo episode in a month, you know what I mean? And a lot has happened in the last month. Good things. I'm excited. Again, check out the Melanin-toxicate merch. We got tank tops, hoodies, t-shirts, tumblers, coffee mugs, glasses, like 16-ounce glasses, I think. The wine tumblers with the lid. I'm gonna add phone cases, but I just gotta actually sit down and design that. And then the thing about Melanin-toxicate is, don't think that those are gonna be the only designs that because I've already been working on new lines that are gonna drop either January, February. You know what I'm saying? Like, my mind works really, really wild, where once I'm in a creative zone, and the more that I create, the more that I create. You know what I'm saying? Now I have somewhere to channel all that, because I kind of put a pause, because the merchandise that I was designing before, that was just my stuff, that it's like, who am I? Nobody knows who I am. You know what I mean? So it wasn't doing what I felt like it really needed to do. So now that I have this brand that I'm really pushing, and it's a brand that people can embrace, and I've even like sponsored ads and all this stuff, and it's kind of cool to see people that I don't know share or like the ad that I put on Facebook and IG or whatever. So that type of stuff is cool, because I'm really just trying to get the brand out there. Now I have a place to channel all this stuff, and my graphic designer is just amazingly talented. So I already have him tasked with a few more things. I want to have little kids. So I have a man and a woman. I want to have a little girl and a little boy, because I want kids to be able to identify with what I do too. So, just trying to do as much as I can with what I've been blessed with. As always, though, you notice I said the first thing I do every day is journal, get in my Bible, and that's also includes praying. So, kind of like quiet time to myself, even if I just journaled and didn't read my Bible, is so good for my mental and emotional health. So that's where we're headed with this. Make sure that you are doing what you have to do to be mentally and emotionally healthy. I have to do that, because now that I spend so much time interacting with other people, even if it's just social media, as an introvert, that can be exhausting if I don't have time to myself. So that's why I start my day with that. And then make sure you're doing what you need to do to be spiritually healthy, which ties into that as well. Regardless of forget religion, regardless of what your beliefs are when it comes to spirituality and all of that, we still have to have healthy spirits. Like, that's always the heart behind that. Now, if you know me, you know that God is who I believe in. I believe Jesus died for my sins and all that. But that's not the point of why I say that. I'm not trying to force you to believe what I believe or any of that. I'm just encouraging you to be spiritually healthy, because if we are mentally, emotionally, and spiritually healthy, then we can also be healthy in our relationships with other people, which is also super important. And it's the holiday season, so I know a lot of family gatherings and just all these things where there can be all this tension. But if you're mentally, emotionally, and spiritually healthy, and I know this for a fact, when you have that cousin or that whoever, it could be a friend too, when you have that person that you go around that rubs you the wrong way, you internalize it differently, or you don't internalize it, I should say. You respond to it differently when you yourself are mentally, emotionally, and spiritually healthy. But if you yourself are walking around operating out of your woundedness, you're going to respond to that stuff differently, and it's not going to make the situation any better. You know what I'm saying? We can't control what other people can do. We can only control how we respond to it. I'm not saying you have to stay in super toxic, abusive situations, but I'm just saying if you're going to go to the family gathering, do what you got to do to be mentally, emotionally, spiritually healthy, and healthy in your relationships, and then of course physically healthy, because if we don't take care of ourselves physically, we can't do all the things that we need to do. That's really where the snatch 40s journey comes from. Is just, I'm getting older and I got to be healthy, you know what I mean? So that's my encouragement to y'all. As always, I definitely appreciate y'all listening, coming back every week, and all that good stuff. Got some dope episodes coming up. I have some guests lined up. One is like a returning guest. One is a new guest that I've been trying to figure out a way how to get this person on the show, because as I always say, if I have a show idea for a person, or if I have a topic or something I want to do and I'm like, who would be a good person to talk to this about, based on what I know about either my friends or content creators that I've met, that's how I book my guests. So as I always say, no one ever asked me, hey, can we do this idea? If anything, they asked me to come on their show. But yes, I have a new guest coming up. I don't know why I'm being all secretive, but you'll see when you see, or you hear when you hear, if you're not watching on YouTube, which you should totally be watching on YouTube. But if you're not, it's cool. Listening is just as good. So thank you so much for tuning in. Again, check out some Melanin-toxicate. Of course, I got to push that. You know what I'm saying? But definitely check it out. If it's not for you, share it when you see my social media posts, because it might be for somebody else. You know what I'm saying? So thank you so much for tuning in. I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Ladies and gents, this concludes transmission. Tune in next time for a whole new edition. Another adventure and mission to share, be heard, and clarify the vision of this whole new world for Tim.